welcome to you fabulous people. Carol, I could start with you just so people
Sure.
understand your position, please.
My name is Carol Guidry. I am the artistic director of the Santa Clarita Ballet Company. And I am currently at home in my home office in Altadena, California. And it's great to be here and great to see Gianna and Juliet because I haven't seen them in a long time since they graduated. So I am just now also seeing them for the first time in many months. So it's really fabulous.
So I'm Juliet. I'm currently a dance major at the University of South Carolina. But I'm currently home for the holidays, so I'm back in Santa Clarita.
I'm Gianna Juliet, and I am currently also at home in Santa Clarita, California, and I'm actually doing freelance work for dancing, singing, and voiceovers. So yeah, that's what I'm doing at the moment.
I'll say the collaboration for the chorale to join with adding the dance to it, to ballet, was a thrilling experience for us. And this was truly, I thought, did some amazing things to Handel's music, which I had conducted way too many times, I'll just say. So Carol, I know this was your first experience collaborating with a chorale, is that true?
That's true, yes.
Yeah. I just wanted to know if there were some scary elements to having to dance to with a choir behind you and an orchestra in front of you and a conductor, and what was that like for you?
Yeah, for me, it was a really thrilling opportunity. It's always such a pleasure to dance with live music. So I was really looking forward to that and really just so grateful that the dancers would have that experience too, because it's so rare these days. You know, it's usually very, you know, the top dance companies that are able to dance to live orchestra. I mean, there are very good companies around that don't have that opportunity.
It was really exciting to get to dance to live music. As she was saying, there's just like such a different energy to the stage, you know, and it feels like much more unpredictable, you know, so you have to be very moment. So it was really exciting to get to like come out onto that stage and to like see so many other people around me that were like also a part of the whole process. So I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I have to agree. For some reason, being with live music, it makes everything seem more like just grand and like very important because like there's no, I mean, you know, live performances, there's no do-overs, but there's just something just so important about the whole piece, and especially it being Handel's music. You know, it is so well known, so it's like, oh my gosh, if we mess up, everybody's gonna know, you know what I mean? It's kind of scary, but yeah, it was such a great experience.
You know, I'm very proud of our Santa Clarita community because here, you know, we were able to put this together. It's still a community choir that is there. We have some professional singers, I'm proud to say, are in the group. In fact, some outstanding singers, but it's a community choir. And I know the ballet company, you, and not only that, these were all high school students. It's just the achievement, I think. And then the instrumentalists we put together, many of them were from Cal Arts. We were able to look at some of the footage from your rehearsals and see how that came together, which was really wonderful for us. I know what it's like to prepare an orchestra or a choir. I don't know what it's like to prepare in what you have to do. And I do wonder if there are any particular challenges. Anything you can help us understand, I think, would be enlightening.
So as far as a challenge goes, although I also see challenges as giving something some parameters, a container, which also helps you focus more when you're creating, is that we were dancing in front of the orchestra, so it cut the stage space for us in half. So normally we'd have all that depth, and so that pretty much dictated that the movement would have to be very long and wide and lateral moving and not a lot of forward moving. Right. So that already informed the choreography. So I had in my head that, you know, people would be coming across in lines. And then of course there were, I don't know what you call them in music, but when we call it a canon, when somebody does the same phrase, but they come in at a later point. And so I utilized a lot of that. So there'd be a line coming in, and then at a certain point, another line would come in, and then another line would come in. And so that already dictates movement and choreography. So
that's fascinating. And as you say that, because I can talk about the structure of Handel's music, and that you use the word canon. His music uses counterpoint, and it is very horizontal writing. Counterpoint is that. And a canon for us in music is like row, row, row your boat, and then, you know, that comes in, that we call, but canonic writing is part of counterpoint. And he goes into full fugues, which are a little more complicated than you want to hear about right here. But nonetheless, it sets up just what you said and dictated. I can see how that would make sense, and yet also seems to fit with the staging of being such horizontal movement, even though you had this massive choir blocking also all behind you.
Yeah.
Well, that was intimidating. I don't know.
I just remember, like, since the music is so layered, you know, with all the different voices on top of each other, I remember like trying to listen for like specific parts. You know, we would coordinate things. So like when there'd be one section of voices and then another section of voices would come on top. And so then we would have like different movements that would coordinate with both of those things. So I just remember like struggling to like find specifically when each thing was happening and like listening for the specific part that we were supposed to find. And then when it was on a live stage, to hear all those voices live and then to try and like pick out what exactly was happening. It was really fascinating to do, but it was definitely something that I wasn't used to before.
Yeah, I remember mainly two things. The first thing was that there was so much choreography, because like these songs aren't short, and usually like with like a normal piece of, you know, ballet, you know, maybe it's like 2 or 3 minutes, but these were like very long pieces, and so we had to memorize a lot of choreography and go over it many times in the studio. And then the other thing was that when we were on stage, as we were talking about, there wasn't a lot of space. And so if we were going towards the audience, it was a little scary, because there were points where I was thinking, what if I fall off the stage? Like, no. But yeah, it was fun.
And stuck by a violin bow, because the orchestra was right there in between that. The movement of Handel's Messiah, the Hallelujah chorus, is probably one of the best known pieces in the world. You used more than just the stage. You did use the audience area, which was thrilling to see. And I know that when we see our video, you see everyone stand. And so you have all these people in front of the cameras. There's no way to beat it for some of the movement. But I thought using the entire auditorium was a brilliant thing to do for that movement. And I'm not sure I have a question here as much as I have a compliment, but I don't know if there's anything of that particular movement, because that's one people know. And as you say, it keeps building and it keeps building and it keeps building up until its ending.
Well, I was going to say that obviously that is so well known, and I probably was the only known piece for me from that whole piece. And I knew I just wanted to do something really celebratory and, you know, exultant. And so, you know, that, like I said, dictated a lot of the choreography. And in ballet, there's, I'd say, one of the most celebratory movements you can do is a grand jeté with the arms opening. So that's how they come in, grand jetéing across the stage. And so that again dictated the movement. And because it keeps building, well, there was this other phenomenon. So because we had to do these rehearsals in such a compressed amount of time, you know, create the choreography and memorize it and clean it up and all that stuff. But it was only people that could be available, like by, you know, 1 p.m. or something. And I think, Gianna, you were homeschooled, right? So you were available, and there were a couple of people that were homeschooled. So, but then there were, you know, other of our company members who would be available, you know, like at 3 o'clock. So I thought, let's add them to the end of the Hallelujah chorus, because it needs more people and it needs to build. And of course, there wasn't room on the stage, so we had to go out into the audience. So again, it was the, you know, the space space limitations
Yeah.
and the time constraints also informed what actually ended up being created.
Yeah, it was excellent. It was
I
excellent.
was, you asked about, did any of the pieces give me any difficulty? And I was going to say, well, conversely, there were some pieces that, you hear things and you just have such a immediate, vivid picture of what needs to happen. And so, and Gianna brought up that some of the pieces were really long. And I remember looking, I think it's For Unto Us a Child is Born. That's pretty long. And it goes on, and I thought, okay, the dancers can't be jumping around for 4 minutes or however long it is, And so I remember making it more gestural. So they have these gestures. I can't even remember what they are, but I know it was For Unto Us was this. And of course I thought, what formation well, let's put it in a cross. So they come in on this these two diagonals to form a cross. And so it was just a practical solution.
Yeah.
And I knew they couldn't be, running here and there for 4 minutes. So that I decided to make that very gestural. And then the other thing was, sometimes the words will inspire movement. So I'm trying to think of the song, but where they say arise. Yeah. And so so I knew that, okay, they're going to have to rise up every time arise is spoken. So that dictated, like, they start with a kneel, and then they stand up to a lunge, and then they stand up to, up on their toes. And so it gave it, some place to go. So sometimes the words can inspire the movement too, and you just do what they say.
Well, I know there is in music, of course, and most art, there is symbolism that's used. And I would imagine there's a bunch of symbolism that I probably wouldn't even have got that sometimes falls into the choreography one would apply to a ballet, goes right across.
Yeah, I was just reading about the geometric symbolism in dance that I wasn't even aware of until I read it. I think it was in Dance Magazine, but a lot of in very old classical ballets like Swan Lake, for example, there'll be like a V that goes towards the audience. And of course, in Swan Lake, that makes sense because it's a flock of swans. So they're, like flying in a V formation or something. And then if the V gets flipped, it says something different than if the V is open towards the audience.
Sure.
And then there's a lot of gesture in dance. There's a whole thing we call ballet mime where they're doing their dance, but of course we have to convey the story.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of gesture that's done to convey the story that may not have been conveyed in the actual dance, because the dance is sometimes just a dance for dance's sake. So there's things like this gesture is to dance, and this like this would be no. I mean, that's very, and then this is death. And this is but wait. When I did the For Unto Us the Child is Born, I would kind of made up a dance mime vocabulary to go with that.
Right. Yeah, no, that's fabulous. That's why it makes sense to those of us watching who may not understand it, but still somehow it does.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to wonder what Handel in 1742 would have thought to have seen his music performed with ballet dance. I don't know. We won't ever know what he would have thought. I thought you did a great job. I'm wondering if there's any stories that are personal stories with family or friends, or, maybe they said, you're doing what to that?
Well, I just remember, it doesn't involve me personally, but it was, somewhat, but one of our dancers was really, really ill that weekend, down for the count. She's just going to sleep the whole day. And I was like, fine, yeah, that's fine. And she said, and we'll see if she's able to do anything tomorrow. And I think our Nutcracker might have been like the next weekend or the week, I can't remember, but it was like, really imminent, and we didn't want to infect other people. So we were like, well, let's figure out. And I think we were going to try and have somebody try and understudy. There was we could pull her out of a lot of things without it disturbing the choreography, but like the PIFA, which everybody had a particular task to do. Like everybody entered one by one, and they led, you know, the group, and then another person hooked on, and then they led the group into something else, and then another and another. But anyway, she did show up for the show. And I remember we were doing our blocking on stage, and she wore latex gloves for the PIFA so that she wouldn't infect anybody while she held their hands. And then in the show, she removed them.
Right. And today we'd wear a mask as well.
And today we wear masks. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I love that. No, that's actually wonderful to hear the story. It has been an absolute treat to have Juliet and Gianna with us today and sharing, to hear the experiences from the past. And of course, Carol, lovely to be with you and hear these thoughts. We're going to end up playing the entire production that we did back in 2016. That'll have all of the recitatives as well as the chorus movements and the dancing. And we'll be able to do that from beginning to end. And I don't know if people will be singing and dancing at home, but they're invited to.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
voice of him that crieth in the wilderness, prepare ye the way of the Lord, make straight in the desert a highway for our God. Every valley shall be exalted, shall be on like Orifi's fire, for he is like Orifi's fire. And who shall stand when he appeareth? But who may abide the day of his coming? And who shall stand? And who shall stand when he appeareth? When he appeareth. For he is like a refiner's fire, like a refiner's fire. And who shall stand when he appeareth? And who shall stand when he appeareth? For he is like a refiner's fire. And who shall stand when he appeareth? When he appeareth, for he is like a refiner's fire. For he is like a refiner's fire. that walketh in darkness. The people that walketh in darkness have seen a great light, have seen a great light. The people that walketh in darkness have seen a great light. The people that walketh in darkness, that walketh in darkness. The people that walketh in darkness have seen a great light, have seen a great light, a great light, have seen a great light. And they that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, and they that dwell in the land, that dwell in the land of the shadow of death. Upon them hath the light shined, and they that dwell in the land of the shadow of death, upon them hath the light shined, upon them hath the light shined.
And the government shall be upon his shoulders. And the government shall be upon his shoulders. And his name shall be called given, and the government shall be upon his shore. And the government shall be upon his shore. And his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Unto us a child is born. 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 Unto us a son is given. Unto us a son is given, and the government shall be upon his shoulder. The government shall be upon his shoulder. And the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. Unto us a child is born, unto us a child is born, unto us a son is given, unto us a son is given, unto us a son is given. And the government shall be upon his shoulder. And the government shall be upon his shoulder, and his name shall be called Wonderful Counselor, the mighty God, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace, the everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. said unto them, Fear not, for behold, I bring you good tidings of great joy, which shall be to people. For unto you is born this day in the city of David a Savior, which is Christ the Lord. His